Welcome to the Real Women, Real Business podcast, where we believe you don't have to choose between doing what you love and building something truly successful. Each episode, we cut through the noise to show you exactly where your energy should go, how to eliminate what's keeping you stuck, and most importantly, how to tell the difference between what's actually making you money and what's just keeping you busy. Around here, we're all about helping you to work smarter, build stronger, and dream bigger. You've already built something amazing, but if it feels like you're stuck in a cycle of back-to-back calls, half-finished launches, and late nights just trying to catch up, you're not alone. Most women start their businesses with passion and drive, but somewhere along the way, they start settling for good enough. They want more, but worry it will cost them too much. And let's be honest, we spend so much time thinking about how to help others, we start feeling guilty for wanting to build real wealth or prioritize our own goals. That's exactly why I created the Real Women, Real Business Mastery Program to help ambitious women like you stop settling for just enough and start building a business that's truly aligned, where passion, profits, and progress work together, because making more doesn't mean sacrificing more. It means building smarter with the right support and the right strategies. If you're ready for sustainable success in a business you actually love running, book your free coaching assessment at aboutShaunaLynn.com/coachmate. Let's explore what's possible together. Hello and welcome to the Real Women, Real Business podcast. I'm your host, Shauna Lynn Simon, and today's episode is going to be a little bit different because I'm not talking about a client experience that I had or a conversation that I had with someone or even a strategy or something I figured out. I'm actually talking about something that I'm in the middle of right now, and I felt that it would be really important to share this with my audience because, as you know, I always like to keep it real. We're called the Real Women, Real Business podcast for a very good reason. And why not share something that's maybe a little bit uncomfortable, in all honesty? I think that's exactly why I feel like I need to share it. So today I want to talk about why I am intentionally scaling back my one-on-one coaching clients and what that decision has really felt like from the inside. Because if you've ever made a business decision that made complete strategic sense on paper, but still felt really, really hard to do, then this one is for you. So here's something that you should know about me. I am wired to work with people one-on-one. If you have ever met me at an event, you know that I just have this curiosity that if we're having a conversation, I cannot help but dig into some things. If you mention something, I'm going to dig in a little bit and say, like, actually, I'd love to explore that a little bit more. This is what I do. Working one-on-one with someone is where I feel most effective. It's where I can go really deep into their business. I can get a real good understanding of someone's specific situation, and then I can tailor everything that I do to exactly where they are and where they want to go. And I love that. I absolutely thrive in doing that. So when people ask me, why would you ever move away from something that you're genuinely good at and genuinely love doing? Well, that's a fair question. And the honest answer is because I have to practice what I preach as well. Loving something doesn't necessarily mean it's actually the right model for the business that you're trying to build. So let me tell you what I noticed after years of working with women one-on-one. I started noticing this pattern. And I mean a really consistent pattern. Like, it didn't matter what industry, it didn't matter what business size, didn't matter what stage you were at in your business journey for that matter. So many of the accidental CEOs that I have worked with, and to clarify, for if you're new to the show, an accidental CEO is someone who has followed more passion than plan. And so what I've noticed essentially is working with these accidental CEOs was that they started their businesses in a very similar way, full of excitement, full of ideas, just ready to go. And keeping in mind, most of the women that I work with are what I would consider creatives. And one thing creatives are not known for is patience. We like to just go do the thing. Like, we just want to go do the super fun, exciting thing. And so they did what most of us do. They started doing all the things. They built the website. They started showing up on social media. They started taking on clients, creating offers, saying yes to opportunities. And I mean every opportunity. All of it, all at once. Now, what they didn't honestly do, and what most people don't do, accidental CEOs are not, is take a moment to stop and really think about what it was that they were building. Like, what do they actually want their business to look like in, say, a year, 3 years, 5 years? They didn't take the time to plan out their exit strategy, which, yeah. I mean, I had a bit of an exit strategy. It took a lot of different shapes as I was moving along, though, and I never really sat down to really map out what that looked like. They didn't take a look at what kind of clients do they really want to work with. Again, guilty on there as well. When I started my first business, I was super, super vague about it because you end up saying in your head, I'll work with anyone, right? When you're starting your business, I'll take it all. Give me all the business. I will take all of it because you're so eager to get started. You're just saying, I'll just take it all. And sometimes that's not necessarily a bad strategy either, because that helps you figure out who you do and do not want to work with. But you still have to take the time to do that exercise at some point relatively early on in your business before you start finding yourself pulled in a direction that you didn't actually want to go in. So, they didn't take the time to find out, what kind of clients do they really want to work with? What do they want their days to look like and feel like? And what were they willing to stop doing to achieve all these things? And now, because those questions didn't get answered early on, the business started making its own decisions and it grew in the direction of whatever was loudest or most urgent, not necessarily in the direction of what they actually wanted or needed. And over time, they found themselves running a business that felt nothing like the one they had actually set out to build. The fun stuff, that all got buried. The clarity that they thought they'd eventually figure out never quite arrived. And every time they tried to figure out the best next move, there were 17 competing priorities, making it nearly impossible to choose. And that, my friends, is the moment that I kept meeting women in. And I kept thinking to myself, there has to be a better way to support more of them. Now, if you've been listening for a while, you might remember episode 76, where I introduced something that I call the Power Play Profit Filter. And if you haven't heard about it, I really encourage you to go back, take a listen to it. I'll be sure to include the episode in our show notes as well, because it's one of the most practical tools I have ever shared on this podcast. But I'm going to give you a really short version of this because I think it's really relevant to everything that I'm talking about today. The Power Play Profit Filter is something that I developed after working with client after client after client who was just drowning in the to-do list, because these women would say to me, Shauna Lynn, I'd love to do all the things you're talking about, but there's no time in the day for it. And let me give you an analogy that I've used more than a couple of times on this show, and that is my running. Everyone knows I'm addicted to running. Yes, I will admit it freely. But part of my addiction has come from my consistency. The more I run, the more I want to run. And I've had people say to me, like, oh man, it must be nice to have time to run. I don't have children, so that's definitely, a plus, I would say, in that category, but it doesn't mean that I don't have an incredibly full to-do list every single day. And listen, I would also love to have hardcore six-pack abs, but I don't. And I will tell you why. Because if I have a choice between running and doing a core workout, I'm going to choose running every single time because that is what I have prioritized. So I don't find it difficult at all to fit my runs into my schedule because I have prioritized them. They have a standing spot in my schedule. There are times when my mom goes on holidays and she needs a ride to the airport. She will book her flight so that I don't have to miss my morning run. That is how consistent these runs are. But my core workouts, those get thrown in whenever I find the time for it. And if you have something on your to-do list that you say you'll do when you have a few minutes to spare, let me tell you, honey, you are not going to do it. I love you and I respect you, but I also know you and you're not going to do it. We need to actually prioritize the things that we really want to do, and things that we are not doing, we are simply not making space for them. We are not prioritizing them. And so the Power Play Profit Filter just gives you this very realistic look at your to-do list and helps you to really identify what it is that actually deserves your attention. Because like I said, I developed this after working with all these clients who were just drowning their to-do list. And it's not that they weren't working hard, they were working incredibly hard, but they didn't have a clear way to decide what actually deserved their attention. And what I found is that most entrepreneurs are spending a huge chunk of their time on things that are neither making them money nor are they energizing them. And this is why we start resenting the business that we worked so darn hard to build, and why we feel like it all just feels hard all the time. We feel trapped in doing all the things and we can't see how we'll ever get out of it. And until you can see that clearly, it's really, really hard to change it. We'll be right back after this quick message. This episode of the Real Women, Real Business podcast is brought to you by, well, potentially you.
Are you a brand or service that supports passionate female entrepreneurs who are ready to turn their vision into profit without the stress and overwhelm? Perhaps you're an accidental CEO yourself, now on a mission to make work and life easier for fellow passion-driven boss ladies. Our podcast is experiencing an exciting 30% month-over-month growth, reaching entrepreneurs who are building stronger, working smarter, and dreaming bigger. We have limited partnership opportunities available for brands that align with our mission of redefining how working hard looks and feels. Visit aboutshaunalynn.com/partner to learn more about becoming a partner in our rapidly growing show.
And welcome back to the Real Women, Real Business podcast. So here's basically what the Power Play Profit Filter comes down to. It comes down to 4 questions. Before you say yes to anything, a new client, a new offer, new opportunity, a task on your to-do list, I want you to ask yourself these 4 questions. Number 1, does this move me toward my biggest goal for this year? Number 2, will this generate revenue within my target time frame? Number 3, does this leverage what I'm naturally good at? And number 4, can I do this without sacrificing what matters most to me? And if it's not a clear yes to at least 3 of these questions, it's probably a no. Now, let me be honest here. This is an incredibly simplified version of what the full filter actually looks like when I built it with a client. The real thing is customized to your specific vision, your specific goals, your specific business. But even just using these 4 questions now, these can be genuinely clarifying when you start running your decisions through them. And they can be a bit of an awakening. And, there are times where people that come up to me and they say they listened to a particular podcast episode that really resonated with them. And sometimes that episode didn't necessarily teach them anything new, but simply reminded them. And that's exactly what this Power Play Profit Filter does sometimes, is it just reminds you what you started out to do, because it forces you to check back in with your goals and with your vision. So now here's what I realized after introducing this filter to client after client after client, and that's that the tool itself, that wasn't the problem. Most of these women, they could use the filter, right? What they struggled with was the foundation underneath it, the clarity about what they were actually building. Because if you don't have that, this filter doesn't really matter, does it? Right? So we need that clarity of what we're actually building and why we're building it and for whom we are building it. Without that foundation, even the best filter in the world is only going to get you so far. Now, that realization, that was a big part of what led me to build the Real Women, Real Business Mastery Program, because I knew that these women, what they really needed was not just a tool for the moment, it was an entire container where they could do the deeper work, the work that made all the other tools actually stick. And if you want to do the full Power Play Profit Filter exercise, like I said, go back to episode 76, or you can also reach out to us and I'll put you in contact with my admin. She can set you up on a call. We do offer this as a paid call as well, as kind of a one-off situation of just putting together your Power Play Profit Filter. I walk you through the whole thing. But episode 76 also gives you a really good insight into it. If you want to try it on your own, go check that out and then come back here, because what I'm about to talk about next is where the real work happens. Okay, so I'll give you a second to pause this episode and go back to 76. And if you've already listened to 76 and you don't need to go back for a refresher, continue on with me. Let's go. So here's the thing. So I built the Real Women, Real Business Mastery Program. This is a group coaching program that I built. And this was a couple of years ago in the making, I would say now. And I want to be really clear about what that means, because it's not a random course. I think that's what a lot of people often think of when they think of group coaching. It's not just like a random course I threw together to create some passive income. No. Trust me. I have like a gazillion on-demand courses that have been built that can provide exactly that passive income. But just like every other course that I've built, I've always built it with an actual purpose to serve a very distinct audience. But this one is a lot different because I knew that what these women needed wasn't just more on-demand training. And let's face it, unless someone's telling you, go to this lesson right here, you're probably not going to make your way through the entire course, because it's really hard sometimes to do that independent learning and really carve out the time for it. So this is a program that I designed specifically to solve that problem that I just described, that these women were having. Now, the foundation of the program is the 12 pillars of business success. And these are the core areas that I see accidental CEOs needing to strengthen as they grow. Things like your vision and your strategy, which has become a bit of a buzzword, but is more important than you actually think it is. And I have a really great exercise that makes it incredibly easy to actually put down to paper what is you're actually building, and then not file it away, but instead use that as your compass as you continue to grow and build the company. So we start with your vision, your strategy. We cover your productivity, efficiency, pricing, marketing, client experience, systems, how to build a team around you instead of carrying everything yourself, all of it. We cover all of these foundations that I see accidental CEOs struggling with the most. But here's what makes it different from most of the business programs that you see out there. This is not built on a one size fits all formula. In fact, I've worked with enough women to know that what works brilliantly for one business can be completely wrong for another. So the frameworks that are inside the program, these are actually designed to be adaptable to your business, to your strengths, to your goals, to your life. I mentioned if we ran into each other at an event, I would probably lead with a lot of curiosity and ask you a lot of questions. You can ask any of my clients. I do the same for them. There are times where they say to me, can you just give me the answer? But it's really not that simple because the answer is based on their answers to the questions that I'm asking them, because we want to make sure that whatever strategies, whatever tools we're using, whatever frameworks I'm providing are adapted to ensure that they fit their lifestyle, their business, their vision, their goals, their strengths. Inside this program, inside any of my coaching containers, there's no of this like, unless you do it exactly like this, you'll fail kind of energy here, because that's just not what I'm about. This program is about helping you figure out what the right moves are for you, not about following someone else's blueprint. And I know what you're thinking, but Shauna Lynn, just give me the blueprint. It's just so much easier that way. And I do give it to you, but it's easily adaptable and modified to your business. So you don't ever feel like you're doing something uncomfortable. And trust me when I say, I have worked with so many coaches over the years, and I have been incredibly fortunate to have worked with some brilliant coaches who have really helped me to get to where I am today. I've also worked with some absolutely terrible coaches who were so focused on you have to do it exactly this way. And if you're not doing all these things exactly right, you're bound to fail. And there was just rigidity to it that there was no opportunity for me to make it my own and to feel like I was being my true self. And so I found myself doing sales calls that just didn't feel like me, that I was trying to push people into buying something that didn't feel like the right fit necessarily because I was trying to follow this formula and framework. And so if you ever did one of those calls with me, I'm going to apologize right now. I didn't do many of them, but I did do a few of them. And oh, the ick that I felt afterwards. I don't want you to feel that. I want you to feel like you are still building the business in your own true vision, but with the guidance that you need and the support that you need to get it there. So we actually start every new member of the Real Woman, Real Business Mastery program with our accidental CEO assessment, which helps you to identify exactly where your business needs the most attention right now. This is key because again, everyone's kind of starting differently, and it doesn't mean, you can have the same level of success in your business. You can be in business for the same number of years, have approximately the same revenue, but you're in different worlds. And there might be certain strengths that you have where like, I've really nailed down this part of my business, but oh my gosh, this other part, I feel like I'm just making it up as I go along. So we do this assessment to help to identify that, because walking in and just immediately trying to work on everything all at once is exactly the pattern that we are trying to break. So the assessment helps you get clear on what actually deserves your focus first, and then we build it from there. Now, the curriculum is like, a course essentially that it is on demand. So you do move through it at your own pace, but twice a month, we're going to get together and do a live group coaching call. Which brings me to the part of the program that I think is genuinely underestimated. That is the group. So I mentioned earlier about how I'm moving from my one-on-one clients, and don't get me wrong, I'm still going to support one-on-one clients. I'm just really scaling it back significantly because I want to be able to put more energy into this group. And in order for me to have that capacity, I always say, if you're saying yes to something, what does it mean you're saying no to? And so I've had to really put some boundaries on how many one-on-one clients I take at once, because every time a new one-on-one client comes to me, I'm like, yes, let me work with you. Yes, I would love to do that. But then that means that I am saying no to being able to add on to the program, for example, build out some additional areas that I know could be a little bit more robust, be able to add some specialty workshops, bring in additional experts and success partners for the program, which is something that I will also mention. Both my one-on-one and my group coaching get access to my success partners, which I think is a huge, huge value. These are partners that I have curated to help you to do a deep dive into specific areas, and their fees are all included as a part of the program. And so that is something that I really want to be able to build up, bring in more partners, but every single one of them is vetted from me to ensure that they're going to be able to provide you with the quality that you need. So these are all things. And why am I telling you all of this? Is this intended to be a sales pitch? No, but I mean, listen, if you're listening to this, you're like, yeah, this is where I need to be, then come on over. I'd love to have you as a part of the program. But why I'm telling you all of this is because I want you to see that even I struggle sometimes with I know what I should be doing, and yet I'm doing something else. And so I am putting some really strict boundaries on myself. And doing this episode is going to help me to hold myself accountable too, because I'm telling you that group was designed as a way to be able to serve more people without compromising the quality of what I offer to people one on one. And if anything, I think it's even better. Like when I just was designing this, I knew that group coaching would sometimes feel like a compromise, like you're getting less because you're not getting that one on one time with me. But what I've actually seen inside the program is the complete opposite. Like, yes, you get my coaching and my feedback, but then you also get the perspective and the experience of all the other women in that room. You hear questions you didn't even know that you needed to ask. You get insights from peers who are all in it alongside with you, who truly see you, who understand what it actually takes to build something, and who aren't going to let you shrink or settle for something less. And that's something I genuinely cannot replicate in a one on one setting. And woven through all of this, through every pillar, every call, every conversation, is a focus on you, not just your business. Because I've seen too many women build something successful on the outside that is like slowly costing them everything on the inside. So we talk about health and wellness. We talk about boundaries, about integrating real self-care, not just the buzzword self-care, but actual self-care and realistic self-care of like what can we actually realistically do with our busy lifestyles. And we incorporate that into the everyday rhythm of running a business, not as an afterthought, but as a foundation. So if I built this program intentionally and I believe in it this deeply, why is scaling back my one-on-one clients still uncomfortable for me? Because knowing something is right doesn't automatically make it an easy thing to do. Listen, financially, I'm in a position to make this shift. Like, if anything, none of this would impact my income, I guess is just what I'm saying. Like, I can take on a certain number of one-on-one clients and I can take on a certain number of group coaching clients. And making the shift, saying no to a one-on-one client isn't going to impact my income, or pushing a one-on-one client out a few months is not going to impact my financial situation at all. So that's not what this is about. And I think that's what a lot of people's misconception is as well. The challenge for me is that I genuinely want to help everyone. That is just honestly who I am. And there's a part of me that still wonders sometimes, if I'm not sitting across from someone directly, am I actually doing enough? And I've had to really sit with this. And what I keep coming back to is this: the Real Women, Real Business Mastery program is me helping more people. It's not actually a lesser version of that. It's a more sustainable, more scalable, more accessible version of the same mission. I can put more into that program than I could ever put into my one-on-one coaching. Helping accidental CEOs to stop reacting and start leading, helping them build a business that actually reflects who they are, what they set out to create. That's what I really want to do. The discomfort isn't a signal that I'm making the wrong decision. It's just what it feels like to make a hard one. In one-on-one coaching, most clients, they get 7 or 8 calls with me, and it lasts for a few months usually. In group coaching, you're getting 24 calls with me, and you're getting me for an entire year. You're getting my support for an entire year. Oh, I should also mention my group coaching also comes with the Ask Shauna Lynn GPT, which if you talk to some of my clients that use it, they're like, oh my gosh, like she sounds exactly like you, because she should, because I built her in all of my lessons. And so instead of having to go and sift through the program and find the exact right lesson for what is it you're struggling with, ask Shauna Lynn GPT and she will help to guide you. And she is available 24/7 as a part of this program. So why am I sharing all this with you? Well, for a few reasons. First, because I think a lot of you are often sitting with your own version of this. I've worked with so many clients to make moves in their business where we've taken a moment to go back to, why did you get into this business in the first place? And is the way that you are serving your clients actually the best way to serve them and serve yourself? A lot of people say, especially women, say, I wanted to get into this business because I wanted to have the freedom and the flexibility to be able to go on vacation with my family when I want to be able to finish work at 3 o'clock when my kids are home from school. Whatever version of this looks like for you. For me, a big part of it was wanting to be able to support my parents, who, if you've been listening to the show, you know that my dad passed away a couple of years ago, but my mom is still alive and kicking and well. And her and I get to spend more and more time together now because my dad needed full-time care. And my mom and I were responsible for providing that. And we often tag team. So we now get this beautiful time together. So that was a big part of my why of wanting to ensure that I had the business that was flexible enough to allow me to be able to serve my family in the way that I wanted to be there for them. I wanted to show up for them. And I hear this from so many clients, and yet when you're taking a look at your business, you're like, oh, this doesn't actually look like what I thought I was building. And yes, people are going to tell you, oh, but entrepreneurship is hard. And that's just, them's the breaks. Like, this is just all a part of entrepreneurship. But should it be? Does it have to be? And the honest answer is it doesn't have to be. You can take weekends off. You can take evenings off. You can prioritize your own health and wellness. You can take holidays. It just does take a little bit of intentional building in order for you to be able to do this. So you might be finding yourself that you're a decision that, makes sense strategically, feels hard personally right now, but listening to this maybe is helping you to move in the direction that is the right direction. Maybe it's about the clients that you're taking on. Maybe it's about a service that you love that's keeping you stuck. Maybe it's about finally letting go of doing everything yourself. Maybe it's about the service that you really want to be offering, no one seems to really want. But is it that they don't want it, or is that you haven't spent the time to actually figure out how to sell it because you're so busy selling the thing you don't want to sell, but because it's the easiest thing to sell, right? It feels hard to sell the thing that people can really benefit from, that you really want to offer, but you haven't spent the time figuring out who's your ideal client, what's the ideal messaging. These are things that feel hard, and sometimes it's easier just to take the money that's coming in, because we can be so money motivated sometimes, whether we want to admit it or not. It's so easy to say like, oh, okay, yeah, you want to hand me your money for this service that I don't really want to do? Sure, let's do it. Whatever it is, I want you to know that the discomfort that you're feeling doesn't mean you're wrong necessarily. Sometimes it just means that you're growing. Now, another reason why I thought that I should do this episode and share this all with you is because I think it matters that you hear this from me. I'm a business coach. I have helped a lot of women navigate transitions exactly like this one. In fact, I was actually at an event recently. I was at the Real Estate Stage and Association's annual conference, also known as RESACon, in Las Vegas. And I'm sitting at a table one evening, and I'm looking around, and people keep coming up to me, and I'm like, oh, I coach this person, I coach this person, I coach this person. I didn't even realize how many people in the room I had coached until I started actually looking around and looking at them and really seeing them as something that I have actually contributed towards. And it's not that I was trying to be modest or humble or anything, that I wasn't noticing this. It's simply that, each of them carved out their own path, and I was simply just a guiding support along the way. And so I wanted to explain, I've coached all these women, and I still find my own version of doing this challenging, despite how it's always easy to help somebody else, right? Do as I say, not as I do. But I do always try to practice what I actually preach. And that's something that was one of the reasons why I think my clients have always resonated with the things that I share with them, is that I'm not just someone who's speaking from a top level down, frameworks only. I'm coming from a very real place of, I have lived this, I have walked this, I have figured out some things to help to make it a little bit easier for you. And so this is not a contradiction, the fact that I'm a business coach and going through this kind of messy part myself right now. It's just being honest about what it means to build something real. And then the third reason why I wanted to provide this with you and share this with you today is because, honestly, yeah, if what I described here has resonated with you, if you recognize yourself in that pattern of doing all the things without that clear strategy behind them, if your business has started to feel like it's running you instead of the other way around, if you're ready to get clear on not just the next move, but the right next move, and build a business that actually reflects your vision, your values, your strengths, your personality, not what everyone else says you should do, then I want you to know that the Real Women, Real Business Mastery Program exists for you. It's a 12-month program with on-demand curriculum, twice monthly live coaching calls, a genuinely supportive community, and a personalized path that starts with where your business actually is. The investment is meaningful, and it will continue to grow as the program does, because we keep building it out and making it better. So there's never been a better time to get started in it than right now. But it is designed to be accessible in a way that my one-on-one coaching work simply isn't for everyone. So if you want to learn more, the link is in the show notes. You can also go to realwomenrealbusiness.com to learn more about the program. There's also a link on there that you can set up a call with me if you're not sure if it fits for your exact needs. And I can tell you that it does without even speaking with you. If you are identifying in this episode today, I can promise you that this is the program that you need. But if you still have some doubts or reservations, or just wanted to hop on a quick call to make sure that it's the right fit, there's a link on that webpage as well that you can set up a call directly with me, realwomenrealbusiness.com. And listen, there's no pressure. It's just a real conversation about where you are and what might actually help. Okay, so that's a wrap on today's episode. I do really hope this one landed with you, whether you needed to hear that hard decisions can still be the right ones, or whether you just needed someone to finally describe exactly what your business has been feeling like lately. Because I get it. I am continuing to grow my own business alongside yours as well. I think this is the struggle that we have. It doesn't mean that you're I don't like using the word failing at anything, but it doesn't mean that you're necessarily like showing your weaknesses too strongly or, leaning into something that you shouldn't be, or that you're an imposter or a fraud or any of those things that you're thinking. Because listen, I've been coaching for about a decade now. I've coached so many women, I can't even count them. And yet I still find myself continuing to review what is the best business model for me? What is the best way to serve both my clients and myself? Because I would love to say this is 100% altruistic and it's all about the clients. But again, it goes back to those boundaries. There were certain things in my life that I need to make sure that I am making space for, like my half marathons and marathons, for example. But I can't do those things if I'm spending all my time on one-on-one coaching calls. Just kidding. I still spend a ton of time on coaching calls because I absolutely love doing it. But I do like knowing that I can take off for races whenever I want to as well. So if you haven't checked out episode 76 and want to learn more about the Power Play Profit Filter, please go ahead and check it out. It's one of the most practical tools I've ever shared on this show. And it's a really great place to start. And if it resonated, I want you to let me know. Just feel free to leave us a review on the platform or reach out to us directly and let us know how this episode has resonated with you. And if you really want support with your Power Play Profit Filter, we cover it in the Real Women, Real Business Mastery program, as well as so many other pivotal foundations that you need in order to strengthen your business and take it into that next chapter that is going to be the best chapter of your business yet. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Do not forget to subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast. And please, please, please leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. It truly does help the algorithm and helps more women to be able to find us. So if you have found us and you are finding that this is helpful, then I want to make sure that other people can have that same experience. And as always, the best way that you can show your support, not only for this show, but also for your fellow women entrepreneurs, that is to share this episode with a woman that you know just needs to hear this right now. If you know someone who is fighting with all the competing priorities in their life right now, feeling a little bit stuck, feeling a little unsure about the best direction for their business, please share this episode with them. They're going to thank you for it. And of course, I would be forever grateful as well. Until next time, keep thriving.